Part 83. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 826. I thought that Yema and Yedad would get angry. After meeting, the two old people looked at Han Jian up and down and seemed to be relieved. Yema said that he was not hurt, but Yedad was a typical daughter slave, sitting on the bed. The little princess of the family is waiting on the bedside. Han Jian took a chair and sat beside the bed and said softly, "It was my negligence." Father Ye shook his head gently. "I don't blame you. Xiao Zizi told me that she was injured after you left Binhai. You should be more careful when driving in the future and don't be careless. This time Xiao Zizi can save a life, and we both can put it down. I have made up my mind and asked the doctor when I came here, Xiao Jian. What I mean is that I want to take Xiao Zizi back to the capital, and we, the old couple, will also have someone to take care of us. I completely respect the opinions of the two elders. The treatment in the capital may be better than in Binhai, but..." Han Jian hesitated, and Father Ye smiled. "Just go about your business. It's not that I'm busy. I have a favor and I want to ask your help. I'm driving a car back from the capital. How did you, the second elder, come here?" Han Jian was a little nervous, and Dad Ye smiled again. "Don't be too nervous, we are here as a train. In this case, I'll have someone drive you back to the capital. Ziazi's legs are inconvenient. Let me know when you are leaving. Let's go back today. We have contacted the hospitals over there." Han Jian hesitated slightly. Seeing that Yates didn't seem to have any intention of refusing, he sighed. "Hey. Okay, I'll call Che right now." Not 2 hours after the two elders of the Ye family arrived, Yates returned to the capital. He went back in an ambulance. The Audi with a Beijing license plate was also asked by Ye's father to drive back. Han Jian could not leave Binhai because he was worried about what might happen again. Trouble. Watching the three members of the Ye family leave, Han Jian took a deep breath. Ye's father and mother didn't seem to say anything, but it was more uncomfortable not to say anything than to say it. This clearly meant that Han Jian had dragged Yates down and took Yates away. Why? Han Jian sighed again and walked down the street dejectedly. How to explain this? If Yates is no longer around, Han Jian is really not used to it. Wandering aimlessly on the street, he bought vegetables when passing by the vegetable market, and called Cheng Jin to ask about Guan Yun Biao. Cheng Jin told Han Jian to wait, and Han Jian didn't know how long he would wait. Carrying the vegetables back home, I heard Wen Nuan and the old man's laughter when I walked into the yard. Most of my gloomy mood dissipated in an instant. I comforted myself in my heart that nothing was impossible and nothing could be avoided. They come, the security. Han Jian showed a smile, and Li Jinhe, who was standing at the door eating melon seeds, smiled. That's right. Damn it, you better smile to make people feel better. Show mom what you bought. Han Jian stepped forward and smiled. I passed by a seller selling spicy fried river crabs and bought some seafood and some figs for Xiao Nuan. Li Jinhai touched Han Jian's head and smiled. You know I like to eat this. It's not in vain that you love my son. Go ahead. Your dad is busy in the kitchen, so watch over him and don't let him cause trouble. Walking into the kitchen, the father-in-law was standing cooking. There was a casserole on the stove. Wen Nuan took the bag in Han Jian's hand and swallowed a mouthful of saliva while looking at the spicy seafood inside. Lao Wen smiled and told Han Jian to start stewing on the stove. The old duck soup was for my father-in-law to replenish his health. Han Jian smiled and said that the old man didn't need to replenish his health. Nuan held a crab in his hand and mumbled. No, you don't know how much blood our dad lost that night. When I catch the one who suffered 1,000 cuts, I will definitely put him in a pot and stew him. It's so unconscionable. Han Jian reached out and touched Wen Wen's head and ruffled his hair. Wen glared at Han Qian and showed off his power at Han Qian with two crab claws less than 2 centimeters in size. He was kicked out of the kitchen by Wen Shu after making a fuss. When leaving, Wen Nuan insisted on coming out with seafood, grabbed a handful and ran away. Old Wen was so angry that he yelled at the back to stop dirty clothes. When Han Qian entered the house, Wen Nuan was already sitting on the hot kong with the food in his hand. Spicy seafood served on a book. Qian's mother's eyes were full of doting, while Li Jinhe had a look of disgust. A family of 6 gathered together. Qian's mother and Li Jinhe were chatting about the 2 children. As they chatted, the topic of the children came to mind. Li Jinhe asked Nuan when he planned to have children. Nuan said that he was delusional before he was 30 years old. Li Jinhe grabbed his face and pinched him hard. When Nuan didn't take it to heart at all, and then Li Jinhe asked Han Qian again. Han Qian scratched his head in embarrassment and said that he had heard of Wen, and then he was slapped again. Basically, when Li Jinhe was around, Wen was the one with the lowest status in the family. On the other side, the old man wanted to have a drink with Wen Shi. Han Qian strongly condemned him, but the condemnation was useless. The old man and Wen Shi drank together. The 2 families with the lowest status could only eat in silence with their heads down. Afterwards, the dishes were washed after the meal. After everything was cleaned up, the 4 old people sat on the hot kong and chatted. Han Qian and Wen dragged their tired bodies back to the room, closed the door and started to warm up. He complained that Li Jinhe didn't act like an adult at all. When Nuan got into bed, and the hot electric blanket made her not want to get out. Han Qian sat on the bed and looked down at Wen. After struggling for a long time, Han Qian went to get a towel. He said while wiping his warm face. "I feel like I'm serving a hemiplegia right now, so warm." "How can you be so lazy?" Warmth snatched the towel. "I'll just wipe my face myself." "Don't nag like an old man." "Han Qian, you have to be aloof." Then Han Qian stopped talking. About half an hour later, Nuan rode Han Qian under him and said angrily. "Why do not you speak?" Han Qian grabbed the warm little arms with both hands and frowned. "Didn't you make me cold? What I mean is that you should be aloof to other women. Then I'll continue nagging. You should still be aloof." When Nuan got into the quilt again, and then began to scratch Han Qian's back. Slowly, Han Qian stopped moving. When Wen sat up, he found that the guy was asleep. Wen sighed feebly and moved closer to Han Qian's body. He took a selfie and sent it to Yan Qingqing. The latter was very calm when he saw the photo, and then took a photo of drinking with Jijing and Yang Lan, with text attached. "You go to sleep with the old man. The nightlife of us young people has just begun, you big crab." Nuan looked at the photo, then glanced at Han Qian, and finally chose silence. She turned over Han Qian and got into his arms and closed her eyes to sleep. Late at night, Qian's mother opened the door and looked at the 2 sleeping children, wearing pajamas. Han Qian didn't have any quilt at all, and the warmth wrapped him up like a cocoon. Qian's mother walked into the room, covered the 2 children with quilts again, patted their warm buttocks gently, and said with a smile, "She's so cute even when she's sleeping." After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, A Huan. Chapter 827. Beijing Laogu's attention seemed to be attracted by Feng Lun. The main reason was that Feng Lun was so arrogant that he found Laogu's number somewhere and took a photo of Tokyo airport when he was in Africa. Sent to Laogu. Laogu was furious and called Qin Yaozu and Li Jinhe to scold them. If Feng Lun was caught before the Chinese New Year, then they would not take annual leave. Now Wei Tiancheng and Wen Shi are managing the Changrong group together, and Yan Qingqing and Gao Zixi have also reached a cooperative relationship. Unfortunately, Guan Yunbiao hadn't come out yet. Cheng Jin asked Han Qian to wait, but he had no choice and the process went very slowly. It takes time to review them one by one. Christmas is here. Han Qian is lying on the bed sleeping in the dark. He doesn't know where the quilt has been kicked. It's already 11 o'clock and he shows no sign of waking up. Nuan is standing with a spoon in his hand and an apron. Standing beside the tatami bed, he looked at Han Qian with his hands on his waist. How long have you been sleeping for? When Nuan was about to hit Han Qian with a spoon, Han Qian's cell phone rang. When Nuan looked at the couple's mobile phone she just bought a few days ago. She gave up the idea of hitting Han Qian on the forehead and pressed the connect button and said coldly. Hello, Han Qian is sleeping. Little Ant, where are you and my brother-in-law going to spend Christmas today? My dad asked you too if you want to come to our house for dinner. Xiao Tukan's voice was very soft, as if he was worried about waking up his uncle. Nuan took a deep breath and said softly. You don't have a holiday on Christmas. What will you eat? Your uncle is still sleeping. Let's talk about it when he wakes up. Okay little Ant, I purchase. Xiao Tukan hung up the phone with satisfaction. When Nuan put down the phone, she found Han Qian looking at her with wide eyes. Nuan was startled and waved a spoon and said angrily. You haven't gotten up yet. What time is it already? All you do is eat and sleep every day. Han Qian, can you be successful? You're so lazy. Why? Han Qian stood up slowly, tilted his head and looked at Nuan, frowning. 365 days a year, you rarely get up earlier than me once or twice. You didn't clamor for me to accompany you to play that dungeon last night. You went to bed and asked me to upgrade you. The more he talked, the angrier he became. Han Qian put on his pajamas and grabbed Nuan's ears, saying angrily. Forget it about playing games. You spend more than 5,000 yuan a night. Why do you buy such a pair for that thing that holds a broom? Why? Why? The same thing but also a different color, an apron? You can do it. Do you want to eat? Nuan was dragged downstairs and looking at the plates of dark chemical products on the table, Han Qian closed his eyes and sighed helplessly. You should go play games. I really can't let you play with Qianwan. Nuan pointed at the chemical products on the table and said seriously. It looks ugly, but it tastes delicious. If you don't believe me, try it. My wife doesn't lie to her husband. Han Qian doubtfully picked up the chopsticks, picked up a piece of something that was unclear whether it was meat or potatoes, and put it in his mouth. Seeing this, Nuan turned around and ran away. This girl learned a lesson and opened the door instead of going upstairs. At this time, Han Qian was stunned for a moment when he saw Nuan escaping. The next second, a chemical bomb exploded in his mouth. Han Qian instantly put on a mask of pain, covered his mouth and rushed into the kitchen, drinking water and gargling his mouth. This girl beat the salt cellar to death? When he walked out of the kitchen, Han Qian lay weakly on the sofa, looking at the dishes on the table. He wondered if he should give these things to them when he caught Zhang Shengli alive and was Lin Zongheng. It is probably on par with the top 10 tortures of the Qing dynasty. Lying on the sofa, Han Qian called the warden again. After asking, he learned that the procedures had not been received by him, and then Han Qian yelled at the warden. You're such a humming warden, why do you have to wait for other people's procedures for such a trivial matter? It's better to buy a husky and put it in your place. The warden was not angry and said calmly. You go talk to Sun Zhenmin. Han Qian was furious. You think I don't dare? After hanging up the phone, Han Qian started to change clothes. When he went out, he saw the candy wrappers on the coffee table and the dishes on the table. Han Qian came up with a strange idea and went out with a chemical bomb. When he went out, he gave Nuan a shot. He called her and asked her which car she drove. Nuan asked Han Qian to see for himself. When he got downstairs, Han Qian looked at Xiao Hong and sighed. Wen Nuan has recently become obsessed with McLaren, and this is all the fault of Cai King Hu, who says every day that Wen Nuan Xiaohong does not match her identity. When he arrived at the Yamen gate, Han Qian found Sun Jianmin. The latter stood up suddenly when he saw Han Qian. Han Qian walked into the office and closed the door, smiling evilly. "Old man, you had a great time beating me a few days ago. Did you hit me hard with your belt stained with snow?" Sun Jianmin said seriously. "Han Qian, don't do this nonsense. What are you doing? You didn't say that when you hit me." After saying this, Han Qian stepped forward, put his arm around Sun Jianmin's shoulders and laughed. "How dare I hit you? What did you say to Guan Yunbiao to open your mouth?" "Not open." "Master, don't be so stubborn, come and have a piece of candy." Han Qian took out a piece of candy and handed it to Sun Jianmin. Without thinking too much, Sun opened the candy wrapper and put the chemical bomb in his mouth. Han Qian ran away. Within 2 seconds, Sun Jianmin roared in the office. "Little brat! How dare you, cough cough cough, don't let me catch you." At this time, Han Qian had already gone to Qin Yaozu, and got an accurate message from Qin Yaozu. After the Gregorian calendar year, Guan Yunbiao would be released, with a 2-year suspended sentence and a fine of 60,000. Then Han Qian approached Qin Yaozu and said flatteringly, "Isn't 60,000 too little? I'll fine you a little more, I'll fine you a little more." Qin Yaozu frowned and replied, "Our fines are based on standards and are not just money. This money will also be given to the families of those who were harmed by Guan Yunbiao. It's okay, just give me more." Roll. "Old Qin, do you eat candy?" Looking at the black thing in Han Qian's hand, Qin Yaozu said coldly, "Are you playing this trick with a decades-old police officer? You're too young, bastard." There are obvious wrinkles on the candy wrapper, which means it's a rear packaging bag, and let me tell you, I don't eat candy. That's disappointing. In any case, it was good news to know when Guan Yunbiao would come out. Then Qin Yaozu told Han Qian that they were going back to the province and asked Han Qian to be careful in Binhai and not cause any trouble. As soon as he went out, he met Sun Jianmin with a dark face. Han Qian said with a sneer, "Old man, you look good." Sun Jianmin sneered. "I came to Qin Yaozu and told him that Guan Yunbiao can't come out for a short time. If you don't like it, Han Qian, let me go." Han Qian put his arm around Sun Jianmin's shoulders and chuckled. "Come on. It's Christmas, let's have some drinks." "Han Qian, you are breaking the law." "Oh, you said you are my elder, what kind of law are you breaking? You are always getting involved in Guan Yunbiao's affairs. Aren't you tired every day?" "I'm going to find Qin Yaozu. Old Qin has no time to talk to you. I'll treat you to noodles with 2 eggs." After tricking Sun Jianmin into leaving, Han Qian asked a confused question when he was leaving. "Do you eat candy?" You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 828. Wen Nuan went to the prison to see Guan Yunbiao, and then received a call from Wen Nuan, telling him to go find Tu Kun. This little girl wanted to buy a laptop. Wen Nuan told Han Qian to buy more, because it was Christmas and he had to prepare gifts for the children. Han Qian threw a pack of cigarettes to Guan Daegu and sighed. "It's almost the end of the Gregorian calendar year. You're here. I am considered the eldest brother here, and King Hu has saved a lot of money for me. That's fine. It's Christmas and you go buy some gifts. What does your son like? Find him a new mother. I booked your flight ticket. After you're released from prison, you will immediately, Can you go abroad after you are released from prison? I'm not out on bail pending trial. I should, probably be able to. The two guys who didn't know much about the law were confused and smoked a cigarette in silence. Han Qian got up and left, calling Nuan Nuan on the way out. No other meaning. He had no money in his hand, and Nuan Nuan laughed loudly, asking Han Qian to scream pleasantly, and she would transfer the money immediately. Han Qian thought for a while and spoke. Corrupt rich woman. Nuan Nuan hung up the phone angrily, and not long after, the bank information came. 213,000. You are so artful at cursing, how can second be lead three bastards? Anyway, the money arrived. He called Li Duoli to pick up Jiai and Tukun, and he went to pick up Xiao Baibei. Then Han Qian was wondering whether Qianwan and Xiao Yangjia were children. Christmas reception is very lively, especially here in the city center. The shops and streets are decorated with Christmas atmosphere in red and white. Xiao Baibei is sitting in the co-pilot of the car very well. The wave candy in her hand is faster than hers. His face got bigger. Han Qian loves this niece who has no blood relationship. Xiao Baibei is very obedient and sensible, and Han Qian also feels a little guilty in his heart. No matter what kind of person Tang Wei is, he is Xiao Baibei's father. Han Qian indirectly deprived Xiao Baibei of his right to enjoy his father's love. When they got to the city center, they parked the car. Han Qian held Xiao Baibei in his arms and let the little girl's buttocks sit on his arms. Xiao Baibei handed the wave candy to Han Qian. Uncle, it's so sweet. Han Qian suddenly remembered the time when he fed Sun Zhenmin candy, smiled, shook his head, and said softly. Baibei won't eat either. If you eat too much, your teeth will hurt. He put the wave candy in the box and put it back in the car, and wiped the baby's face and hands with wet wipes. Xiao Baibei couldn't stop giggling. Han Qian carried Xiao Baibei to the children's clothing store. By the time Xiao Baibei came out, he had turned into a tender little bear. Whether it's Tang Wei or Yang Lan, their faces are both outstanding. Xiao Baibei can be seen to be a beauty at just 5 years old. In addition, Han Qian can be dressed up and pampered, and people on the road will pay more attention to it. A few glances at this young father and daughter. When walking past the store where music was playing, Xiao Baibei was squirming in Han Qian's arms, laughing non-stop. Han Qian carried Xiao Baibei to the jewelry store of the common people. As soon as Han Qian entered the door, the manager on the first floor of the old department store said ran over. Putting Xiao Baibei on the glass cabinet, Han Qian scratched his head and said softly. Do you have that kind of longevity lock here? The one with a gold medal about half a meter away. The clerk's eyes twitched slightly and he said softly. Sorry, sir. We only have bracelets here. The longevity lock you mentioned, might have existed 100 years ago. My mother used to wear them when she was little. Show me your bracelets. The ones with gold and jade are the best. I'm afraid the gold ones will be too cold in winter. Han Qian has always been willing to spend money on the people around him. Calling him a miser is stingy to him, otherwise he would not be called a money-splitting boy. The clerk went back and forth and chose several Han Qian, but he was not satisfied, and the problem is that the child is young and growing, and I am worried that if I neglect it in the future, I will not be able to take off the bracelet. After choosing, I finally chose a gold and jade bracelet with a movable buckle that could be taken off at any time. Xiao Baibei didn't bring it with him, so he played with it in his hand. The clerk was shocked when he saw it. Han Qian he didn't take it to heart at all. The deal was made for 7,000 yuan. As a result, it fell to the ground before he could go out. Han Qian looked down at the broken bracelet. Tears rolled in Xiao Baibei's eyes, and then Han Qian laughed. Baibei, uncle will teach you a saying, broken pieces are peaceful, broken pieces are safe, broken pieces are safe. The manager rushed over and explained repeatedly that he could try to repair it. Han Qian hugged his precious niece and laughed. I won't repair it. Please wrap it up for me. It's just for the safety of my baby. It's fine if it's broken. After leaving the door, Han Qian carried Xiao Baibei and ran all the way. The baby held Han Qian's head and laughed non-stop. The manager stood at the door of the store and sighed softly. At this time, the clerk came over and looked at Han Qian with a peach-filled face. The figure from behind said softly, if I had a boyfriend like this, he would slap me in the face if we had a fight. The manager glanced sideways at the clerk, who had a pretty good appearance and figure, and whispered, how about I buy you one? Did it fall here? I'll just tell you. Who doesn't envy the people around Han Qian? There are too many people who want to squeeze their heads to get closer. Unfortunately, coming together now can only be said to be the icing on the cake. There is only one chance to help Han Qian, but it is a pity that only the four of them have benefited. He contacted Xiao Tukan and the others to meet at the home appliance shopping mall. He carried Xiao Baibei to the door of the home appliance store and saw 3 children surrounding a large doll attacking him. Han Qian frowned and walked forward, looking at Li Duoli slapped the big puppet on the head, and Han Qian raised his foot and put it on Li Duoli's waist. The young man fell directly to the ground. When he turned around and found Han Qian, he frowned. Brother-in-law, what are you doing? Han Qian ignored him and whispered to Li Jiayi. Beat him. Li Jiayi walked up to Li Duoli, bent down to salute, and then kicked Li Duoli's butt again and again. Then Han Qian looked at Tukan, waved his hand and slapped him on the shoulder. Little Tukan lowered his head, the head remained motionless obediently. At this time, the person inside the large doll also took off the huge doll head, revealing the delicate face of the little girl, whose face was filled with grievances. Han Qian said softly. Did they bully you? The little girl was only 18 or 19 years old, with tears in her eyes. She bit her lip and shook her head. Han Qian turned to look at Li Duoli, who had already stood up. With just a look, Li Duoli sat on the ground obediently. Han Qian asked Li Jiayi. The child was very honest and told Han Qian that it was Tukan and his second brother who refused to let him go. After saying that, little Tukan glared at Li Jiayi, but was slapped by Han Qian again. Little Tukan covered his shoulders and frowned. Uncle, she is wearing such thick clothes and it doesn't hurt if I hit her. What are you doing? Han Qian said calmly. It doesn't hurt, does it? Little girl, give her the clothes, and then you hit me. I see this head weighs more than 10 kilograms. How can you resist me? I found that the tutors of the 3 of you are really capable. That's a problem, you bought all the crappy Christmas gifts and they're all ready for me. At this time, Xiao Baibei suddenly reached out to grab the doll's head in the little girl's hand. Han Qian became angry and put Xiao Baibei on the ground. The 4 children stood side by side and then neatly bent down to apologize to the little girl. Li Duoli was smart and spoke sincerely. He also stuffed the little girl with 200 yuan and asked for forgiveness. Little Tukan looked unwilling. Han Qian said calmly. Li Jiayi, the Christmas gifts for you two will be halved. Little Tukan, don't ask for anything today. Uncle, I was wrong. Miss, I'm sorry. I really didn't mean it. From now on, you will be making puppets here. If anyone dares to beat you, I will ask my family to chop them up. Then he got slapped again. Han Qian apologized to the little girl again. At this time, people started to watch on the street. Han Qian turned around and apologized to the onlookers, and explained the reason for punishing his children. At this time, several big guys at the Yamanmen were looking at the scene at the home appliance door in front of the surveillance camera. Qin Yazu said calmly. Li Jinhai, don't you care about your son? Li Jinhai's face was ashen and he couldn't say a word, this traitor. Then Cheng Jin chuckled. Let me tell you, this bastard bullies us very much. He is very good to the ordinary people in the city. If he is unreasonable, he is also unreasonable to us. You can't ask a person to be too perfect, right? I think Han Qian is a very good kid. Send this video to the capital? Didn't the team leader say that anything about Han Qian should be sent to him? Sun Jianmin said calmly. I'll give it away when I save more. This bastard didn't know what he gave me during the day. Everything I eat now is salty, and it's so dark that it's not meat. Li Jinhai lowered his head and whispered. It can't be the food cooked by my niece, can it? Everyone's expressions became strange, and they suddenly began to feel a little sorry for Han Qian. Secretary General Li stood in front of the window and said calmly. I thought it was the braised pork made by King Hu. Since it is warm, I feel relieved. Hey! What can Xiaohu do if all he thinks about is playing? Everyone's expressions changed again. Not that I feel a little sorry for Han Qian now. Not everyone can bear such things as love luck. Nowadays, when a girl comes close to Han Qian, few people think that it is Han Qian's blessing. Instead, the responsibility on his shoulders has become heavier. Qin Yezu sighed helplessly. What evil did this child do in his previous life? Secretary General Li was immediately furious. Qin Yezu, where did you fart? After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 829. Uncle, I know I was wrong. I will never bully anyone again, I promise. Li Jiai was snickering behind Xiao Baibei's back, and Li Duoli was adding to the confusion by saying that it was Xiao Tukan's idea. This was wrong, and Han Qian suddenly spoke. Li Er, your gift is gone. Give your share to Xiao Tukan. Xiao Tukan was overjoyed, and Li Er asked the reason with confused eyes. At this time, Li Jiai spoke. Because you shirked your responsibility. Li Er immediately lay on the ground and rolled around. No matter what the people in the mall thought, Han Qian was so angry that he turned blue in the face. In the end, he had no choice but to compromise. However, he could not escape the beating. He bought Li Jiai a laptop for studying. Spending more than 14,000, Han Qian told Li Jiai that as long as he studies hard, he will be rewarded continuously. If he can be among the top 3 in the school, there will be rewards. If he can be admitted to several famous schools, such as Tsinghua, Peking University, Fudan, Nanjing, etc., he will be given a car as a reward so that he can drive to college. But there was also a requirement that after graduation, he must come back to Binhai to help him. Li Jiai said that he would work hard, but he didn't need the car and he had to fight on his own. Han Qian has always paid Li Jiai's rent. Although the landlord has always said that he does not want rent and can live in this house for as long as he likes, even if it is demolished, Han Qian still insists on paying the money. The money he gives to Jiai is for Jiai. This is considered a kind of investment. It can also be regarded as an investment given by Tu Xiao. Han Qian didn't understand what little Tukan wanted. It was expensive anyway, and Han Qian didn't even know what it was for. When Han Qian picked up an electric baton, Li Duoli said on the spot that he was too old. No gifts are needed, Han Qian chuckled. He told Li Duoli that he could go to Wu Qingxi's crew to study, and finally bought 2 mobile phones. The gifts have been purchased. It was almost getting dark. When they separated, Li Er told Han Qian that his brother and sister-in-law were back and would go home to sit down sometime. Han Qian nodded and Li Duoli drove home. Little did he know that tonight was very likely to be his death anniversary. After sending Xiao Baibei home, Xiao Yangjia trotted over to open the door. Han Qian handed Xiao Baibei and his mobile phone to her. Xiao Yangjia forgot about Baibei at that time and shouted that Han Qian was her brother. Then Han Qian heard when I heard the noise in the living room. I walked through the hall to take a look. Han Qian immediately covered his head. Why are you all here? Why are the girls here? Yu Shisai once again had a drinking contest with Yang Lan. Han Qian glanced at the time. It was only 6 o'clock. Nuan was lying on the sofa with a flushed face. Her fighting ability should be the lowest. At this time, Yang Lan suddenly proposed to go to the bar. Several wine brewers raised their hands in agreement. Yang Lan turned his head and grabbed the sofa with his hands, and whispered pitifully. Xiao Qian, can you ask Boss Tu's people to pick us up? Han Qian tilted his head and said doubtfully. Sister Yang, are you acting coquettishly? What will Xiao Baibei do if you go to sing? Yang Lan looked at Yang Jia, and Han Qian said helplessly. What about Mr. Yan and Xiao Nuan? Yan Qingqing said. I won't go. We can't go with Wen Nuan like this. We are staying at home with Xiao Baibei. You can ask Boss Tu to pick him up. They have been taking care of me since I was hospitalized. They took advantage of Christmas to go out and have fun. It was lively bar. Okay, I'll call Xiao Hai to pick you up. Xiao Qian is the best. Sister Yang, please stop acting like a spoiled brat, okay? Yang Ian's coquettishness is really unbearable. Not long after, Xiao Hai drove several cars to pick up people. They were all good confidants of his uncle, so he couldn't neglect them. He had to keep a close eye on him even when he went to the 8th district. Han Qian glanced at Yan Qingqing, who signaled Han Qian also went to do his own thing. After leaving Yang Ian's home, Han Qian didn't know where to go. He called Sul Yang. This guy said that his wife was about to give birth. He called Wei Tiancheng. This guy was playing cards with the foursome. Luo Shanda was going to spend time with your grandson. If only in the past, you could find a big dog to come out and have a drink with. Suddenly feeling that everyone around him was busy, Han Qian walked on the road aimlessly with his head down, and finally chose to drive home. 1 year passed in a short time, and Han Qian lamented that the days passed too fast. He went home to sleep. When he woke up, it was already dawn. Han Qian put on his suit and went downstairs with his car keys. He hadn't gone to work for several months. Han Qian wanted to visit the company and worked for 5 days in a row. New Year's Day came, and it also ushered in the first day of the new year, and it was on Saturday. Ling's villa is very lively. Several families gathered together, the girls were chattering, Wen Shi and the old man followed Uncle Zhong to his secret base, and Han Qian stood on the balcony on the second floor drinking wine. He seemed out of place with the excitement. After drinking half a bottle of wine and smoking a cigarette, Han Qian sighed softly. At this time, his phone suddenly rang. Han Qian pressed the connect button. The other person only said 6 words. Han Qian threw away the bottle and picked it up. The clothes left the villa. Start the car and drive straight to the prison. After signing as a guarantor, the warden told Han Qian that Sul Yang had come to sign just now, but his wife seemed to have a baby today and left in a hurry. To Sul Yang, Han Qian was 100% grateful and 100% trustful. Standing at the door of the prison, Han Qian lowered his head and lit a cigarette. A gust of wind blew out the flames. Han Qian turned away from the wind and lit some medicine. He lit the cigarette and raised his head to take a puff. A laugh came from behind him. It's not good to eat alone. Han Qian turned around. Although he had already seen Guan Yunbiao's bald appearance, he still felt an indescribable feeling in his heart when he saw it now. He took out a cigarette and put it into Guan Yunbiao's mouth, lit it with both hands, then opened the car door and held his head high. Shouted loudly. Brother Guan. Please. Brother Han, please. Brother Dog, please get in the car. Uncle, you're welcome. The two looked at each other and then laughed. Guan Yunbiao drove, and Han Qian sat in the passenger seat. Han Qian shouted, "Come on!" The two went straight to the city and rushed into the mall. Han Qian began to choose a red suit for Guan Yunbiao. It's a pity that the two people's taste is not very good. In the end, the clerk couldn't stand it anymore and offered to help brother go choose a set. After the two left the mall, Han Qian asked Guan Yunbiao where he was going, and Guan Yunbiao chuckled softly. "I thought about going to Great Britain for a long time in prison. It would be better to stay with my wife and my son during the Chinese New Year. If she is willing, she can return with me. If she doesn't want to, I will pay her to take her for about half a month and I will come back. It's not a problem to keep sharing like this. I also wanted to ask her in the past, why Ben Hai is not worthy of her." Han Qian smiled. "Are you impulsive?" Guan Yunbiao shrugged and smiled. "Don't be impulsive. You guys have to be tougher. In the worst case, we'll break up. I'll give her a big red envelope when she gets married. I feel like there's nothing that I can't handle. I'm leaving. Wish me good luck." Guan Yunbiao was very smart and took a taxi to the airport. Han Qian also wanted to live as coolly as he did. As soon as the idea came to his mind, Nuan Qian called. "Little Han Qian, everyone is waiting for you to serve dinner. Where did you go?" After hanging up the phone, Han Qian bit his upper lip and frowned. Why isn't warmth sweet? After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 830. It was time to rest, but some things still had to run normally. Gilu sent people to Changxiang Group to find their president, Lin Zongheng, to calculate the interest on the debt, and told the Lin family that there were still 2 months until the repayment date. That is to say, before and after the Chinese New Year. I thanked Tang Wei when I went out and gave Tang Wei a large reward in front of Lin Zongheng. At this time, the Lin family also wanted to return the money to the underground bank, but the Hong Kong shareholder never came back, and he had documents in his hand to check the company's accounts, so he couldn't say when he would come back. Lin Zongheng covered his head with his hands. This terrifying interest rate made him a little bit overwhelmed. Now he was sure that this guy who suddenly appeared in Hong Kong must be Han Qian's person, but now that he knew it, what could he do? At this time, Han Qian was on the phone with Yang Jianfeng, asking whether Lin Mend had continued to take money from him recently. Yang Jianfeng's answer did not disappoint Han Qian, and Han Qian smiled and nodded. "Tell him no more borrowing money." After hanging up the phone, Han Qian threw aside the 2 beautiful legs that were resting on his body and whispered softly with a popsicle in his hand. "Are you going out?" "Well, I've been lying down at home all day. Let's go out and do some errands. Come back and buy me some snacks. You are fat." As soon as the words came out, Nuan walked out faster than Han Qian. Not long after, Nuan shouted from the first floor. 101 pounds. Me. No. Fat. Han Qian chuckled, put on his windbreaker and went out. When he got in the car, Nuan sent a text message, saying that he wanted something sweet, soft, and sticky at night. Sweet. Soft. Sticky. Han Qian thought about it for a long time but couldn't figure out what it was. He took out his mobile phone and called Wei Tiancheng, telling him to prepare and go see Wei Tiancheng later. Wei Tiancheng nodded in agreement, and then Han Qian struggled for a long time before choosing the second person. When it was someone, Tu Xiao took the initiative to call and told Han Qian not to drive, and he would come to pick him up. Standing in the community and watching the young men wearing vests playing basketball, Han Qian was extremely envious. These young men aged 17 or 18 were at their most energetic. Han Qian regretted why he always wanted to go to school when he was a child. Internet cafe, not to play basketball. How handsome. The boys also saw Han Qian. Someone who was familiar with Han Qian put down the ball and ran over to call him master. Han Qian smiled across the net. It's not cold to wear so little. Don't catch a cold. The young man chuckled. Master, thank you. A while ago, some uncles and aunts came over to compete with us. At that time, we were about to be driven away, so I tried to say that my master was Han Qian, and he let us play basketball here. And then the uncles and aunties left. Master, you are so amazing. Han Qian couldn't help but laugh. Are you making an enemy for me? Put on your clothes and don't catch a cold. Do you still remember what I taught you? Several other young men gathered around and laughed. Remember, Master said. You must have a healthy body to protect the girl you like. You must study hard, have good grades, have a good body, and love to be clean. These are the three major factors to attract girls. Later, some newcomers asked why they needed to be in good shape. Several young men laughed impiously, and Han Qian laughed. Then I'm telling you something today. You can't just choose one to study hard or play hard. Geniuses are sought after, right? When you go to a prestigious university and sit in the office in suits and ties after graduation, at that time, the scope of your choice of girlfriends will be wider. If one day you become a basketball star or start your own company, it is also possible to date female stars, so. Children. Work hard. While chatting with the children, Xiao Hai came to Han Qian and bowed. Uncle, the car is already waiting for you. Han Qian waved to the children and followed Xiao Hai away. The children on the basketball court were holding the iron net with both hands and looking at the master who left. Their eyes were full of envy. What the master said was definitely right. As long as you listen to the master, you will be right. Imagining that they would look like Han Qian in the future, several children who were familiar with Han Qian picked up their clothes and prepared to leave the stadium. Some people who didn't know why asked loudly. What? You've only been playing for 2 hours and you're not playing anymore. The child walking at the back turned around and smiled. Go back to study. Master said this is called combining work and rest. Then why don't you go home and play Dota? If you want to play, I'll go home too. No fight. Senior brother has given us a test paper. We may not have time today. You guys are so boring. It's winter vacation, why are you still writing papers? I threw away all my winter vacation homework. Haha, what can you do after you leave school? A few children who were preparing to play basketball or games were stunned by a soul torture from a child of the same age. They pointed at them angrily and said angrily. Are you tired of living? Be careful after school tomorrow. Block us? Let's not say whether we are afraid of you or not. Let's call Li Jiai senior brother, and you try to touch us? Oh, you can't study, play ball, or play games. What can you do out of school like this? When I become the boss, if I encounter gangsters like you who can't scrape together 100 yuan, I will give you some charity for the sake of my old classmates. The children became proud, not knowing whether this was right or wrong, but their parents were very grateful to Han Qian. Not long after, the children went to Li Jiai's with snacks, exercise books, or exquisite meals prepared by their parents. Home. While making up lessons, I also wanted to hear the master's story. Li Jiai was responsible for tutoring the younger brothers, while Tu Kun told them the story of Han Qian. To exaggerate, Li Duoli also joined in before, but now he was grounded. Li Jiai divided the papers for them. The papers were printed by Li Jiai himself. He did not charge the children for tuition fees, but he would accept the snacks and meals he brought, so that his mother would not have to cook dinner when she came back. Tu Kun didn't understand this at first, but he was relieved after hearing Li Jiai's explanation. Tutu, my uncle, and I have no blood relationship. He is just a tenant of my house. He can treat me closer than my nephew. Why can't I learn from my uncle to treat his younger brothers better? These are all things within my ability. I need to train him. I hope that I can help him in the future, and I am also training them to help me in the future. Tu Kun asked puzzledly. What are they for? Li Jiai smiled and did not answer. His current investment was a non-investment. It was useless and it was not a loss, but as long as there was something useful, it would be a profit. No businessman is absolutely profitable, but they have stronger capital. On the other side, Han Qian and others arrived at Changxiang Group. Han Qian raised his head and sighed. Perhaps Changxiang Group may have the surname Han in the near future. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 831. As everyone walked into the main entrance of Changxiang Group, Han Qian might not be very recognizable. Some people knew that he was the husband of the former vice president, while others didn't. Most people's eyes fell on the two people behind him. Wei Tiancheng? Why did this guy suddenly appear? Didn't he sell his company and go abroad? Tu Xiao? Why did the gangster from District 8 appear here? Some people who know the gossip are even more curious about how these two people could appear on the same occasion. To be precise, how could they be willing to walk behind this young man? Many people know that Tu Xiao had trouble with Wei Tiancheng back then. How vicious! Han Qian also knew that, but these two people just appeared here. Han Qian never worried that Wei Tiancheng would stab him in the back. It didn't mean that he trusted him, but that he was not afraid. Maybe a year ago, Wei Tiancheng was still too high for him. Yes, but now he can only be reduced to a tool in Han Qian's hands. To put it nicely, he is an ally. Tu Xiao clicked his tongue. Tisk, 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 Lin meant, this old dog's eyesight is really not that good. How can this company look at Xyli and be stingy? Wei Tiancheng chuckled. Who knows? There were 5 or 6 people following the two of them. Han Qian got on the elevator and went straight to Lin Zongheng's office. Someone wanted to stop him, but unfortunately he couldn't muster up the courage. At this time, Lin Zongheng also received the news, but it was a pity that Han Qian did not give it to him. What he reacted to was pushing the door open and grinning. Master Lin, good afternoon. Lin Zongheng, who stood up at this time, glanced at Han Qian, then stood down, put his legs on the table, and said calmly. Han Qian, you are becoming more and more shameless now. Do I treat you? Han Qian walked to the sofa and sat down. Wei Tiancheng stood at the door. Tu Xiao walked to the window. Han Qian said with a smile. It doesn't matter where I go. You can't stop who I want to see. As for whether this person is thick-skinned or not, I definitely don't have your turtle shell. I heard that you have been hiding in the company and home recently. I'll do it, see if you're hungry. Haha, do you like the gift I gave you this time? A whole family is in the hospital, isn't it fun? You asked Tu Xiao and Wei Tiancheng to come together? Are you afraid that I will touch you? Han Qian, you are becoming more and more timid. There's no way. After all, not everyone is human. Some bastards are also called Lin Zongheng. Don't you have to call your dad to come over and support you today? Then I won't talk nonsense to you. Come on. Pay back the money you owe me. As soon as these words came out, Lin Zongheng frowned, sat up and looked at Han Qian with disdain. Money? I owe you money? Han Qian, are you telling me a joke? I, the eldest son of the Lin family, owe money to a local dog like you? If you have no money, just bark twice and I will buy you 2 bones. I'm too lazy to argue with you, like a girl. After saying that, Han Qian stood up, took out an IOU from the pocket inside his windbreaker and put it on the table. Lin Zongheng glanced at the IOU out of the corner of his eye, then stood up, picked up the IOU and was about to destroy it. Han Qian spoke. Road. Maliciously destroying other people's EIS is equivalent to damaging other people's property. If you pay more than 5,000 yuan, you will face criminal liability. Lin Zongheng. There is no difference between the relationship between us and ordinary people filing a lawsuit. Are you sure you want to tear it up? I will buy you Lin Zongheng for 90 million yuan. I'm fine with being put in jail. Lin Zongheng threw the IOU on Han Qian's face and said angrily. Don't humming fart. When did my Lin family owe you Han Qian money? If you tell me, you will be laughed to death. Do you Han Qian have 90 million? Huh. You are like a local dog, you humming. If you curse me, I'll beat you up. Lin Zongheng's voice stopped suddenly and he suddenly shut up. Wei Tiancheng, who was standing at the door, couldn't help laughing. Han Qian bent down and picked up the IOU on the ground and said calmly. Unfortunately, your Lin family took 90 million from Yang Jianfeng. Later, Yang Jianfeng took 80 million from me for some reasons. Now he is unable to repay, so he used this IOU to offset the debt. I have you here. All the information and evidence that the Lin family borrowed money. Stop talking nonsense and return the money to me. Otherwise we will meet in court. Lin Zongheng said angrily. Han Qian, I'm afraid of you. Han Qian smiled. You don't curse anymore? Then I curse you, you little bastard. Are you afraid of me? You don't know in your heart? You'd better not pay back the money, and then we go to the court. Now that Niu Qiudong is dead, go to the Yamen gate to file a lawsuit against you. Can you beat me? Are you dreaming? Huh? Do you believe that I can take away half of your shares with the 90 million? Believe it or not. Classmate Lin Xiaogui. Lin Zongheng's face turned blue and purple, and Han Qian chuckled again. Stop struggling and pay back the money quickly. I have the money waiting to be used. Nowadays, bank statements are easy to check. You can also call Yang Jianfeng to confront him. If you don't pay back the money, I will beat you. Han Qian wanted to take action again. What Lin Zongheng was most afraid of was that this guy would take action. He took out his mobile phone and called Lin Mend and told him to come to the company. Han Qian came to make trouble and brought an IOU. After Lin Mend received the news, go to the company quickly. When he arrived at the company, Han Qian was sitting in Lin Zongheng's office fighting with two other guys for landlords. Looking at Wei Tiancheng and Tu Xiao, Lin Mend was furious. When he saw Han Qian, Lin Mend I was so angry that my lungs were about to explode. He pointed at the three people and said angrily. You three, get out of here. Is this where you play? Han Qian threw out Wang Jia, picked up the IOU on the table and threw it to Lin Mend, saying calmly. Old man, don't shout so loudly. We are all younger than you. Hurry up and raise money. Give it to me and pay back your debts. It is only natural and right. Don't force me to raid your house. Owe him money? Lin Mend did not turn around. His first thought was that the underground bank belonged to Han Qian. When he picked up the IOU, a high pressure rushed over his head, and Lin Mend was almost mad to death. Have you been fooled by Yang Jianfeng, a loser? Lin Mend didn't believe it and signaled his assistant to make a call. Han Qian turned around and lay on the back of the sofa, smiling at Lin Mend. Stop struggling. When have I, Han Qian, ever done anything I'm not sure about? I have money to pay back, but I don't have money to get a house, a car, and shares to pay off debts. Didn't your son just say that your family is rich? Then stop talking nonsense. The truck is ready, sir, cash or card. Lin Mend had a gloomy face and sneered. Han Qian, I won't give you this money, what can you do? Han Qian shrugged and smiled lightly. Not to me? Then let's file a lawsuit and then follow the clues to investigate. Investigate the matter of Lin Zongheng spending money to kill Luo Shen. Investigate the matter of you bewitching Qian Huan to commit suicide. In Cha Chatong, Cha Chaxi, you can fight the crime, but if you die, won't I take care of your son with a pinch of salt? These words fell like a knife on Lin Zongheng's ears, and Lin Zongheng was furious. Han Qian, don't be so shameless. Han Qian squinted at Lin Zongheng and curled his lips. Shameless, I want money. At this time, the secretary came back, and the phone in his hand was not hung up. Lin Mend hung up the phone after listening for 2 seconds, walked behind the sofa, pressed Wei Tianquan's shoulders with both hands, and smiled lightly. Xiao Wei. You can't take advantage of your employer's business and just go to the West to work hard. Such a long-term worker will not be trusted by others. Wei Tiancheng said nothing, while Han Qian grabbed the mentioned poker box and threw it at Lin Mend, frowning. Are you too old to threaten young people? Lin Mend, you are getting more and more maneuverable as you live. You just have to say one thing today, whether you want to pay back the money or not. You pay the money, I leave, and we will clear up everything, but if you want to pay back the money, use your son to offset the debt. Lin Mend chuckled. Pay back the money? I definitely have to pay back the money, but I don't have any money now. Look at the things here and take what you can. It's okay to arrest Zongheng. If you arrest him, I'll report the crime. A mangy dog? No, a deadbeat. Okay. In that case, come on. Sign this and get 10% of your shares. Who made you have no money? What if I don't sign? Han Qian, what can you do? As he spoke, he tore up the IOU, and the shredded paper fell on Wei Tianquan's head like snowflakes. Han Qian smiled. Lin Mend, you are in trouble. After saying that, he took out his mobile phone. Oh, what about the police? I called the police, but someone didn't pay back the money they owed, and even tore up the IOU. After hanging up the phone, Han Qian looked at Lin Mend and narrowed his eyes. No matter how old you are, can you be bigger than the law? After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, A Huan. Chapter 832. The police came. When they learned that the debtor was Lin Mend and the payee was Han Qian, they were also in a dilemma, and the amount involved was huge. They suggested that they let them discuss and resolve the matter themselves, but in this way Han Qian was in trouble. No longer willing, he pointed at Lin Mend and looked at the police. He withdrew my IOU. After the words fell, Tu Xiao spoke. According to one of the provisions of the law, tearing up an IOU with an amount exceeding 5,000 yuan is equivalent to maliciously destroying other people's property, and he should be held criminally responsible. You can't say that you won't arrest him because he is the boss of a group, right? The policeman was in a dilemma. When he got close to Lin Mend, he spoke. This money is between Yang Jianfeng and me. I never took the money from Han Qian. But Yang Jianfeng has already told me to give this IOU and authorized me to ask you for money. It's his business to be authorized, I didn't agree. Lin Mend, you old scoundrel, won't you pay back the money? I'll give it back to Yang Jianfeng, but I can't give it back to you Han Qian. Han Qian stood up and looked at Lin Mend angrily. Then Han Qian suddenly smiled and grinned. Lin Mend, how many times have you taken money from Yang Jianfeng? You said that if you suddenly bring him here to testify, will Yang Jianfeng be dissatisfied and then take back all the money you owe? You said yes no. Is it also a matter between me and Yang Jianfeng? What does it have to do with you? Then I'll ask Yang Jianfeng to come over. You asked me, the King of Heaven, to come here, and I can't possibly give you this money. Do you understand? Han Qian turned to look at the police uncle, who frowned at Han Qian. Han Qian understood that it seemed that Yang Jianfeng really had to be used as a witness. Then Han Qian clapped his legs and said loudly. He called Yang Ji Unfeng just now. Does he know? It had been years since someone had pointed the tip of his nose at him. Lin Men looked at Han Qian with a gloomy face and said angrily. Han Qian, try pointing at me. Han Qian rolled up his sleeves and stepped on the coffee table, saying angrily. I mean you. Are you angry if I poke the tip of your nose right now? Mad dog Han, you should have some humming respect for my dad. You, he is your father, not mine. I respect your reigning in, huh? Tu Xiao, Wei Tianchang, you two hold Lin Men down while I beat this little bastard first. Seeing that a fight was about to start, two policemen stepped forward and dragged Han Qian back, telling Han Qian to call Yang Ji Unfeng now. If the other party admitted that he had authorization, then Han Qian could take the money. If he did not have authorization, Han Qian could take the money. Qian was about to be detained for provoking trouble. Han Qian said angrily. Then what the hell is he trying to do with my IOU? Mr. Han, we will take care of it. Don't worry, if you are a creditor, we will help you with the money. Half an hour later, Lin Zongheng sat on the sofa with handcuffs on his hands. Han Qian also sat on the sofa with handcuffs on his hands. After hearing Yang Ji Unfeng admit that he did allow Han Qian to ask for money, Lin Zongheng while yelling at Yang Ji Unfeng, Han Qian took action directly. When it was determined that the return date was indeed the latest, the police uncle upheld justice and told Lin Men to repay Han Qian's debt. If he did not agree to repay, he could go to court to sue. After hearing the accusation, Han Qian sneered. Sue? You ask them, do they dare to enter the court door? Stop talking nonsense and pay back the money. If you don't pay back today, I will sue you two poor guys tomorrow morning. What the hell did you think about when you borrowed money? Such a big thing, is it so difficult for the company boss to pay back the money? No, I have to ask Yan Qingqing to turn on the LED at the entrance of glory. I want everyone in Binhai to know that you two are not paying back the money and are acting rogue. Let me ask you, are you still not paying back the money? No, if you pay back the money, use your son to pay off the debt. Master Han, Lin Zongheng is not worth 90 million. He originally spent 400,000 yuan to buy my legs, but I offered him 90 million to change his gender and send him to Japan to film an AV. Lin Zongheng looked at the two policemen with suspicious eyes and said angrily. Han Qian, please stop slandering me. When did I spend money to buy my legs? Han Qian replied with an innocent face. Ask Guan Yunbiao. Guan Yunbiao is your brother. Check the bank statement. Damn it. You gave me an anesthesia injection during the Chinese New Year last year in the mountains. I almost died in the mountains. Stop talking nonsense and pay back the money. Pay back the money quickly. Now that Han Qian was insisting on paying back the money, Lin Men had no choice but to stand up and leave the office. Seeing this, Han Qian smiled at Lin Zongheng. Your father raised money? Isn't it embezzling the company's public funds? Lin Zongheng ignored Han Qian. Not long after, Lin Men's secretary came back and asked Han Qian if he could return the 30 million today and transfer the rest to his account before noon tomorrow. Han Qian looked at the two policemen and whispered softly. Asked if they would testify, the police officer nodded in agreement. Then Han Qian handed the bank card to the secretary and began to wait quietly. After waiting for an hour, the text message came. Looking at the string of zeros on his bank card, Han Qian called the bank and asked them to transfer the money to Nuan's account. After all, the money was all there in the first place. I borrowed it, but it still lacks some warmth. In the end, he almost had about 10 million left in his hand, and Han Qian began to fantasize about how to spend the money. A huge sum of 10 million. Han Qian didn't want to give it to Tu Xiao or Wei Tiancheng. They both got a lot in his hands. After bullying the Lin family, Han Qian was in a good mood. He went to buy something soft, sticky, and sweet for Wen Nuan. He walked around a lot and bought various snacks and barbecues, but this one was soft, sticky, and sweet. Of. Han Qian smiled when he saw the golden bean buns. This thing is soft and sticky, and the beans are still sweet. I bought 15 or 6 in one go. Take a taxi home. When he opened the door, Wen Nuan rushed over with a gust of fragrant wind. As soon as Han Qian opened his arms, Wen had already snatched away the snacks in his hands. All kinds of snacks were piled on the coffee table. Han Qian took off his coat, changed his shoes, and walked in. When they were in the living room, they found that nursery rhymes and poems were also there. Han Qian smiled. Then when he saw Wen Nuan pick up the frozen bean buns and bite them, Han Qian stepped forward and snatched them away, saying angrily, "Are you a fool? I'm going to eat this tomorrow morning. You guys eat this first." "Well, I bought a barbecue and there is beer in the refrigerator." Tong Yao got up and got a beer. Yu Shici looked at Han Qian with an ambiguous face, narrowed his eyes and smiled. "Get us drunk and then sleep with us." Han Qian smiled and shook his head. "I'll stick you all in the snowdrift." When the words came out, Tong Jiao was stunned. He doubted that Han Qian could really do such a thing. Nuan didn't take it seriously and muttered vaguely while eating grilled chicken wings. "Where did you get 30 million to put in my card? Let me tell you something, you took tens of millions from me not long ago. Right? I transferred that money to you in the company's account. Yes, it's almost 5 million with interest, please remember to give me 5 million as well." "Oh." Han Qian was relieved. Fortunately, he still had 5 million left, which was enough to spend. He sat on the pony and opened a can of beer. He just took a sip when Wen Nuan spoke again. "Xia Hong's truck was driven by Daddy. Didn't Daddy's pickup truck crash?" Han Qian frowned. "He opened the red card? Can he be willing? Dad basically drives to give Mom a ride. If you don't want to, I guess you still have some money, right? Give me another car." When the words came out, Han Qian was furious and said angrily, "I owe you the warmth." Nuan frowned. "You don't agree? I'll call Mom." "Agree. Buy. Up to 2 million. There are still 3 million. Han Qian took a deep breath and still accepted it. At this time the nursery rhyme started. "Han Qian. I want to expand the school, please lend me some money." "Serious business." Han Qian picked up the fried chicken fillet and took a bite and said vaguely, "How much does it cost?" "I want to buy some computers for the children, and then rent it next door and move the interest classes there. Now there are too many children in the school, Yezhi Pavilion has not been closed recently, and the funds are a bit difficult to open." As she talked, nursery rhyme burst into tears. Han Qian said hurriedly, 2 million. That's the most. This is all the money I have left. Tong Jiao raised his head, his big eyes full of gratitude, but Yu Shisai gave up. "Han Qian, why do they all have them? Treat them differently, so do I. Have." Han Qian was really afraid that Yu Shisai would say that. This woman didn't care about it. Yu Shisai smiled. "Just give me 1 million, and I and Tong Yao will buy a house." "Okay. It's okay. I'll transfer the money to you at noon tomorrow. Now you let me eat. I've been arguing all day. I'm wondering if I can have 10 million left. You three will share this guy's money with me directly." "No. Tonight, if any of you dare to enter my bedroom, the money will be gone, do you hear me? Then I don't want the money." Yu Shisai's words caught the attention of the three people, and Tong Yao said calmly, "Auntie, you're here, Yu Shisai. Please be quiet." Han Qian instantly lost his appetite when he looked at the snacks on the table. Could it be that the money owed to Wen Nuan will never be repaid in this lifetime? He raised his head and looked at the three girls, each one looked like a little fox. Han Qian wanted to cry. Wen Nuan gave him more than 200,000 yuan and bought more than 30,000 yuan for Christmas gifts. Then Yang Lan and the others spent 8,000 yuan in the bar. Tu Xiao said he didn't want anything, but Han Qian still gave it to him because Tu Xiao and the others didn't go to the bar. Of home. Han Qian hasn't scolded them yet for this matter. He gave Big Dog 100,000 yuan to fund his trip abroad, but all the money he made was given to his wife. I'm embarrassed to say that he went to visit his younger wife and asked his eldest wife to get money, but he still had less than 100,000 yuan left. It's been several days since Suliang's baby was born, but Han Qian has never been there. It is estimated that the little money in hand will be gone if it goes to Suliang's place. After thinking so much, Han Qian lay on the ground and started rolling. Ah! I can't live anymore, I have no money again. Be good, if you don't have money, ask me for it. My sister won't cut off your pocket money, brother Han Qian. Han Qian opened his eyes, glared at Wen Nuan, and said angrily. You're not sweet anymore. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 833. Let's not talk about whether it is warm or sweet. The three girls were sitting on the sofa drinking. The bones were thrown on the floor, which made Han Qian feel that it was really not sweet anymore. Lying on the hot floor tiles, Han Qian put his head on one hand and looked sideways. Singing nursery rhymes, he whispered. Child monster, tell me, what were you thinking that night? Why did you just want to go to the bar to have fun and then not pay the bill? Nursery rhyme held the chicken wishbone in her hand and mumbled. It's not that we don't pay, it's that the other party's manager said he didn't want any money and hid all the POS machines. This is not our problem. Yes, that's true. The manager said that having my uncle's people here is a great honor. Han Qian, you are very powerful now. Yu Shisai on the side had already opened the cap of the sixth small bottle of beer. Han Qian looked at Yu Shisai and frowned. Then you didn't give me any money, wait a minute. The salary Wen Nuan pays you now is over 1 million yuan a year. Do you have no money to buy a house? When the words came out, Yu Shisai was stunned for a moment, then she leaned on Wen Nuan's shoulder and shouted that she had drunk too much and was dizzy, so she couldn't hear clearly what Han Qian was saying. At this time, Tong Yao spoke. Maybe poetry likes the feeling of being taken care of, the pleasure of asking someone for money. Yu Shisai glanced at the nursery rhyme, narrowed his eyes and smiled. Teacher Tong really understands me, Nuan let Han Qian take care of me. Wen Nuan chuckled. No. Delusion. You will never escape the fate of working for me in this life. I will buy a small whip tomorrow if you dare to be lazy, I will whip you. Nuan, are you a landlord? My mother-in-law used to be a landlord. The three girls started chattering again. They had forgotten about Han Qian's problem, but could they not give him the million? I had to give it, but no matter how much I thought about it, I felt aggrieved. Although it was only twice, both times, I was forced by Yu Shisai. The only thing to blame is my own lack of determination. If there was no reaction at that time, would it be fine? Han Qian raised his head and looked at Yu Shisai. After the first time, a car cost almost 700,000. The second time, he simply took away 1 million. Why is this girl so expensive? Yu Shisai noticed Han Qian staring at her, and then the girl pulled down her clothes, revealing her round and white shoulders, and gave him a wink. Han Qian couldn't help but shiver, full of electricity. It seems quite worth it. Then I felt like my head might have been short-circuited. In the past, Han Qian felt that Yu's poems were not that good looking. They were much worse than Wen Wen and Yan Qingqing. These two girls could be said to be the pinnacle of Bin Hai's appearance. Yan Qingqing's facial features were more refined, but now I feel that a mixed-race person like you Shisai is really pretty, especially those with light green eyes. She is the kind of person who is a little surprised at first glance, but becomes more and more interesting the more she looks at her. Then Han Qian stopped looking. When he looked at this face, ripples of images appeared in his mind. Turning his head to read the nursery rhymes, Han Qian also had a picture in his mind. Han Qian and Ou Man save the world and defeat the child monster. Han Qian felt that he was mentally ill, so he stood up and said to go to bed early, got up and went upstairs, took off his clothes and got into bed wearing a pair of underwear, tossing and turning, unable to sleep. He sat up suddenly and slapped himself in the face. It's not spring yet. After the words fell, the door was pushed open, and Wen Nuan, who had put on cartoon pajamas, yawned and walked in, frowning. Why don't you sleep? Han Qian turned his head and said seriously. Nuan, let's have a baby. When the words came out, Wen Nuan was slightly stunned. She knew what Han Qian was thinking in his head at this time. She smiled slightly, took off her shoes and went to bed, hugged Han Qian's neck behind him, and the next second when he strangled Han Qian's neck tightly. You want children without remarrying? Are you bullying me for being stupid, or do you think you are too smart? Then Nuan grabbed Han Qian's hair. Nuan lowered his head, while Han Qian raised his head. Duan. Han Qian calmed down and stared at the ceiling blankly. The warmth was really no longer sweet, and it still hurt a little. This girl has no emotion at all after drinking some wine. A headbutt calmed Han Qian's restless heart, perhaps because of pain or fear. It's always quiet and a little dizzy. This night was very harmonious. No one got into bed in the middle of the night, and there was no way to stuff underwear. This made Han Qian always feel like he was still dreaming when he woke up in the morning, and he was slapped in the face. Then Han Qian started rolling on the bed holding the quilt. It's over. It's over. I'm not being tortured crazy by Feng Lun and Lin Zongheng. I'm going to be tortured crazy by these stinky old ladies. Thing to for crazy to crazy crazed and crazy cracking torture crazy cracking torture crazed cracking tocratic torture cracking crappy old bitch thing that Feng Lun and Lin Zongheng thing that I've ever had that I've been tortured crazy by Feng Lun and Lin Zongheng. With a series of angry roars, Han Qian raised his head and looked at the three girls with unkind expressions at the door. Han Qian hurriedly picked up the quilt and huddled in the corner, frowning with a spoon in his hand. Who are you calling a stinky old woman? Han Qian, have I given you too many smiles recently? The other two girls followed suit, and Han Qian huddled in the corner like a little girl after being insulted. After a while of verbal lessons, Han Qian went downstairs. Looking at the messy living room and the exquisite breakfast on the dining table, he chose to compromise. If it weren't for Wen Nuan holding the whistle and nursery rhyme holding the fork, Han Qian would have nagged a lot sentence. After dinner, several girls went out. When they went out, Nuan told Han Qian not to forget and remember to transfer the money. Looking at the closed door, Han Qian looked at the messy living room and fell into deep thought. In the elevator, Yu Shisai whispered. Miss, do you really want to pay Han Qian everything? Isn't that bad? He can do it without any money. Nuan looked down at the phone and said calmly. It's okay if it doesn't work. He should have hundreds of thousands in his hand now, which is enough for pocket money. Nursery rhyme on the side said. You tricked us into asking Han Qian for money. Wen Nuan, are you afraid that Han Qian will return the money to you? Do you have a sense of crisis? A sense of crisis? Ha! Nuan sneered and said again. Han Qian can resist anyone, but he won't resist my mother-in-law. So, I don't have the sense of crisis you mentioned, but I'm afraid he will kick me out after paying back the money. Tong Yao frowned and smiled bitterly. Then aren't you still afraid? I guess he won't return the money to you even if he keeps it in his hands. He is so busy now and has so many ways to use the money. Yu Shisai followed him. He wants money, and Cai Huaping came over in a hurry, but I feel that Nuan, your worries are unnecessary, but it's okay, don't be afraid of 10,000, just be afraid of what happens, what if Han Qian? Yu Shisai, first tell me what you did to Han Qian. Nuan suddenly asked this question, and Yu Shisai was slightly panicked. I didn't do anything. If you don't believe me, let's go to the hospital for a checkup. I'm definitely still a virgin, unlike. Assistant Yu, please watch less pornographic movies. As a teacher, I want to tell you that this is not good for your health. Teacher Tong, you can shut up. No, Assistant Yu, I am very concerned about your health. After all, we will live together for a long time. I don't want you to suddenly become interested in me. I heard that foreigners are very open-minded. You heard wrong, I like men. I like strong, vigorous men. Look at you, you are full of dirty words. Teacher Tong, are you thinking too much? Your chest and abdominal muscles are very hard. Han Qian has no chest muscles. There are only 4 abdominal muscles left. Teacher Tong, how do you know? Huh? Could it be that you have seen Han Qian without clothes? Leave me alone. When Nuan strode out of the elevator, the 2 girls in the elevator sat on the ground. Tong Yao covered her forehead with both hands and burst into tears. Yu Shisai covered her forehead with pain and was speechless. The second time. This is the second time I've been hit on the head by Nuan. The power has been cut off from time to time in the past week. In order to ensure daily updates, I will update twice for the time being. I will resume 3 updates when the power supply is normal. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 834. At 12 noon, the text message came as promised and the money arrived. Han Qian didn't care where the money came from, because he knew that Lin Mend had no money, and it was only a matter of time before he and Yang Jianfeng broke up. He didn't believe that he could continue to trust Yang Jianfeng, but he couldn't tell for sure. What if he didn't want it for money? Where is your face? Whatever the Lin family father and son did, Han Qian was not surprised. It is difficult for tough people to get rich. For example, he, Han Qian, has never been able to get rich in his life. The little rich still borrowed the blessings of a few girls around him. After washing the rag and looking at the brand new living room, Han Qian smiled. He picked up his clothes and went out, drove to the bank to withdraw some money, gave some to Kexan and asked him to pass it on to several primary schools, and then Han Qian went to the hospital. Li gave birth. Han Qian definitely didn't know when Li became pregnant. When he arrived at the maternity hospital, when Han Qian opened the door and walked into the room, both parents were there. This was Han Qian's second time visiting these 4 old people. Suliang, when his father saw Han Qian being very affectionate, he grabbed his hands and patted his shoulders, looking up and down carefully. You've lost weight. Xiao Qian, you need to eat more. I heard Liang said you were injured again this year? Young people recover quickly, but you must also pay attention to safety. Han Qian chuckled. Accident, the injury was an accident. Have I lost weight? I always feel like I have lost a lot of muscle. Liang's mother smiled. Eat more, and the boys will be stronger when they go out to bluff people. So Liang's parents don't know what Han Qian is doing yet, but they just know that they have a good relationship. Han Qian stepped forward, nodded and smiled at Li's parents, looked down at the infant child, Han Qian frowned and murmured in a low voice. So ugly. Suliang glared at Han Qian and said angrily. Have you ever done this to become a godfather? Call someone ugly when your child is born? Go ahead, go out. Han Qian laughed. If my mother sees this, it's time to urge me to have a baby again. Do I need to wait until the baby is born to be a full month later? Suliang and Li Li shook their heads at the same time. Han Qian sighed softly, took out a pile of money from the pocket of his windbreaker and handed it to Suliang. Suliang immediately refused, and Han Qian frowned. The child is born. As a godfather, I have to express my gratitude. You can keep these tens of thousands of dollars. There will be many places for the child to use the money in the future. Li Li, when you are almost recovered, write a job application report and I will sign it. Isn't that Song Jing giving birth soon? You can go to the Human Resources Department, and then you two can also share your parenting experience as a junior mother. Li Li replied softly. Vice President Gao sighed. Ignore it. At this time, Suliang asked Han Qian to go out to smoke a cigarette and chat. Suliang's parents also went out to prepare some things for their children. Li Li's parents were left in the room. Li's mother bent down and frowned. When did you decide not to prepare full moon wine? Suliang has so many relatives and friends, and he will be able to collect a lot of money by then. This will make your life easier as a couple. Li Li smiled softly. She knew her mother was doing it for her own good, but this decision was made by Suliang. There was an undercurrent surging in Binhai. The death of Niu Qiudong and the falling out between Han Qian and the Lin family were potentially dangerous. Another point, Suliang said that Han Qian could not attend any banquets or parties, which would put him in danger. Also, Li Li knew clearly that if she had not chosen Suliang, she might have been just an ordinary woman, getting married, having children, and living hard, but now she didn't need to worry about that. Suliang had made her realize what it meant. Economic freedom. She also respects Suliang's ideas. Seeing that her daughter didn't speak, Li Ma continued. Xiao Li, tell mom, what does Han Qian do? Is your job going to be transferable? If so, why don't you be transferred to Suliang's side? Or to a place where it's easier? The position, the HR department sounds very tiring. Dad Li said immediately. Judging from his appearance, he should have a good relationship with Suliang, right? Why are you two still small employees? Li Li looked at her parents and smiled bitterly. Don't ask about Han Qian's identity. Anyway, he is very powerful. I would like to go to Suliang's department. Unfortunately, your daughter does not have that ability. Suliang's general department is Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Besides, I am in Suliang's general department. He would be too reserved around him. It would be good to go to the Human Resources Department. Manager Song is also very kind. In short, after leaving the Public Relations Department, he will be fine anywhere. Don't worry about me or Suliang's things. We are all having a good time. Daughter. How much money can Suliang make in a month now? I don't know. I never asked. Why don't you ask? Men become bad when they have money. Hey, it's his fault. Suliang is smarter than me, better than me, and earns more than me. We live together, and he didn't find a policeman to live with. I'm responsible for my money. He's as beautiful as a flower, and he makes money. To support the family, my job is easy and I do more housework. He is tired from work and can rest for a while. This is good. It's okay if he can control it. If he can't control it, I won't know if he fools me. Where's the salary card? Who do you two give it to? Everyone gets what he deserves. Mom, a man can't go out with only $100 or so in his pocket. Oops. Just leave me alone. Let's live our lives together. I don't know if Liang is good to me or not. Aren't you afraid that you don't know it clearly? I just saw that Han Jian's pile of money was 60 or 70,000. Oh, that's indeed a lot. Our houses and cars were given by brother Jian. Daughter, the girl from your second uncle's family is not married yet. Just take a look. Stop. You are not allowed to mention this matter again. Brother Jian is almost bored to death by women. The girls around him who pursue him are either rich or noble. You better not worry about it. Take the child away. It's too ugly. I don't want to see it. Lily really doesn't like children, whether they are her own or other people's. She still regards herself as a child. Li's mother picked up her precious grandson. She was just the opposite of Li. She loved children the most. When Li was just pregnant, she went to negotiate with Suliang's parents. If it was a boy, the Su family would take him and raise him, but if it's a girl, you have to be with her before going to school. While Li's mother was coaxing the child, the ward door was pushed open, and Wanfang and Xian came. Now Wanfang is no longer the cool beauty in the public relations department, but Xian is still in the public relations department. In her words, she said that she liked to see those old men bearing the loss because of their lust. Wanfang trotted all the way to Li's mother and looked at the child. Xian sat by the hospital bed and asked what it was like to be a mother. The two best friends chatted lively in the room, and Li's parents left in a sensible manner. As soon as they left, Xian asked, Lily, you have been pregnant for 10 months, Suliang, how did you do that? Oh, you are so embarrassed. Wanfang sat opposite Xian and smiled disdainfully. Stop pretending. Okay. Xian covered her face and secretly stuffed an envelope into Li, then whispered. You won't tell me. Li said angrily with a red face. Why do you ask me everything? As long as there is a way, why are you giving me money? Suli. I'm trying to trick you. I want to be your child's godmother. His godfather is brother Jian. Forget it, I don't dare to be this godmother. You can let sister Wan be your godmother. Anyway, they will quarrel when they meet. Before Wanfang could speak, the door was pushed open. Han Jian was slightly startled when he saw Wanfang, then opened his arms and shouted loudly. Ouch! Isn't this my precious little baby? You miss me so much, I want you to miss me so much. Wanfang stood up and frowned. Han Jian, don't you feel itchy if you don't want to be beaten? Come on, be happy. You have a lot of time anyway. What the hell? Then the two of them were torn together. Han Jian was merciless, and Wanfang was merciless. They tore from standing to putting on clothes, and then rolled from the bed to the ground. Soon after, Han Jian let out a general cry, and Wanfang grabbed Han Jian's arms. He said with a ferocious smile. Ouch! Little Han Jian, have you forgotten the pain? You must let go. You female hooligan, oh don't pinch me. Xian, who was sitting beside the hospital bed, covered her face and said helplessly. See? Such a suitable godfather and godmother. The three people in the room watched these two guys with no limits fighting on the ground. After about 10 minutes, the two separated. Han Jian straightened his clothes and glared at Wanfang, saying angrily. Do you know that wearing leggings is disrespectful to men? After saying this, Wanfang pounced directly on Han Jian, hanging on him like an octopus, grabbing Han Jian's hair and gritting his teeth. You dog! I'm not wearing any leggings today. Then Han Jian went out carrying Wanfang on his back. Suliang, who stayed in the ward, sighed feebly, took out a card and handed it to Li. This is for you, some of Qian's girlfriends have prepared it for you. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 835. On the steps at the door of the hospital, two guys were each holding a cup of hot milk tea. Han Qian was sitting in a reserved posture, while Sister Wan Wan was sitting in a bold posture. Suddenly I understood why they called her Wan Wan instead of Fang Fang. Han Qian, let me have a taste of yours. It's not sweet for me. Han Qian handed the milk tea to Wan Fang and said softly. I don't like sweet things. Wan Fang completely ignored the straw Han Qian used, took a sip and clicked her tongue. It's indeed not as sweet as mine. Do you want to try mine? I don't like you for burying yourself. Saying this, Han Qian picked up his milk tea and took a sip, not caring that Wan Fang had used it just now. Wan Fang looked at Han Qian with disdain, and the latter said angrily with a proud look on his face. What's going on? It's against the law. A sudden angry voice made Wan Fang jump. She slapped Han Qian twice on the shoulder, and then she held the hot milk tea cup in both hands and said softly. Han Qian, have you ever thought about getting married? Did you ask the wrong person this question? I'm already married, although I'm divorced now. I mean in the future. In the future? I never thought about it. Your question makes me confused. I feel that marriage is far away from me. After hearing Han Qian's answer, Wan Fang put down the milk tea cup in her hand and sighed. Yes. I always thought marriage was far away from me, but I didn't expect it to be so close. Xian introduced me to a boyfriend who can't speak or move. He is very obedient and doesn't cost money. I'm thinking about it. Do you want to accept it? Han Qian squinted at Wan Fang and frowned. Why are you bullying me here? First of all, your appearance and figure are both first class, although your personality is a bit worse. Also, Xian has a very good relationship with you. It is impossible for her to introduce such a man to you, right? I recommended a vibrator to you online. Wrong. Real person. Silicone. You, Wan Fang, do you want to fight? I'm not in the mood to fight with you. My mother urged me to find a partner. I sent you your photo. My mother told me the next day that she went to an old Taoist priest who told fortunes. The old Taoist priest said that you are not serious and have a bad temper. It's not bad, love fortune is running rampant and there are constant ups and downs, so my mother told me to break up with you. Your mother is very sensible. Huh? Old Taoist priest? Is he the Taoist priest who robs the monks' business in front of the temple? I don't know. Han Qian. I'm so irritable. I used to want to fall in love, but after seeing Si Guan's dejected state every day, I'm scared. What do you think I should do? Wan Fang looked at Han Qian expectantly. The latter was slightly startled and then said. Didn't your mother say I can't do it? Wan Fang was slightly stunned and frowned. Even if you are good, I can't fall in love with you. You are too scumbag. I mean, what if we fall in love and then break up? The next one will be better. Do you believe I hit you? Then what do you think we should do? I've never been in love, and I've never broken up before. Now you're like asking a third-grade student a high school math problem. How the hell can he know? Wan Fang glanced at Han Qian, stood up, stretched, and sighed. That's right. Han Qian, are you still a virgin? Han Qian looked at Wan Fang helplessly and frowned. Can you stop being such a gangster? Let's go meet Xiaoran? You go with me, I don't know what to say to him. Han Qian stood up and turned his head to Wan Fang's ears. What are you going to do if you don't know what to say? As soon as he finished speaking, Han Qian grabbed Wan Fang's hand and threw it aside, took out the car keys and asked whose car it was, but Wan Fang told her that she didn't drive, otherwise he wouldn't be with her. Han Qian was so angry that he really wanted to pin Wan Fang down. Take a beating in a snowdrift. The kind that shows no mercy. Driving to the university campus, students had already begun their vacation. Students were leaving the campus one after another to go home for the new year. Han Qian and Wan Fang were walking on the campus. Not long after, Xiaoran trotted up to them. Brother Qian sister Wan Wan. Wan Fang frowned as she looked at Xiaoran's messy hair and two thick dark circles under her eyes. Are you giving up on yourself? After saying this, Han Qian opened his mouth and said, I'm hungry. Find a place to eat. It's too cold. I guess it's going to snow. I'm hungry. Wan Fang turned around and frowned. Eat. Why are you making such a fuss? Eat, eat, eat. Han Qian, you are spoiled by a few girls. You are in my hands. I will starve you for 3 days. Xiaoran didn't interrupt, and followed the two of them into a restaurant that served pork ribs and rice. Han Qian once had the same views on meat and vegetables, but after living with Wen Nuan for a long time, Han Qian naturally regarded vegetarian dishes as side dishes. Only the fragrant meat dishes are considered main dishes or staple food. After ordering a large bowl of sauced bones, Han Qian frowned as he watched Xiaoran pick up the rice. What kind of food are you going to eat? Meat is the kind of thing that old men eat. Look at how emaciated you are. People who don't know would think you were tortured by Wu Sijuan. Eat meat first, and then eat 2 bowls of rice. Handing a glove to Xiaoran, the two men started to work on the bones in the pot. Wan Fang was not polite and took a piece of sauce bone and ate it. When Han Qian put down the first bone, he raised his head and glanced at Wan Fang, curling his lips. Road. Look at that bitch of yours. Do you believe I'm going to put the blame on you? Han Qian stopped talking. Among the girls he knew, there were only 2 who had violent tendencies. One was Yan Qingqing and the other was Wan Fang. Yan Qingqing was violent towards others, while Wan Fang was violent towards him. He lowers his head to eat meat and is too lazy to argue. Wan Fang said. Xiaoran, you just broke up with Si Guan? Didn't you think about trying to make things right? Xiaoran raised his head and looked confused, then Han Qian spoke. What's the point of trying to redeem yourself? There's no point trying to redeem yourself now. Even if you redeem yourself, we'll break up. Si Quan is working and Xiaoran is in school. They don't even have a common topic. Don't redeem yourself. Study hard and find a good job after graduation. Let's experience it. Si Quan is 2 years older than you. It's not that I can't afford to wait. Don't have sex all day long. That thing is useless. If you are capable, I will use Si Quan to wipe you this time. What do you want me to do? Eat meat. Xiaoran was busy lowering his head to eat the meat, mumbling with his mouth full. I listened to Brother Qian. I will graduate with excellent grades first, skip the postgraduate entrance examination, and go out to work early. Even if I can't be with Si Quan in the future, I also think that if she has difficulties, I can help her. Now I'm just a hindrance. We don't know what to talk about when we sit down to eat. I'm too naive. Wan Fang nodded, and then Han Qian spoke again. I can't help you. If Sijuan finds out, he will quarrel with me. It all depends on your own efforts. Sijuan won't get married in the next few years. You should make your own time. I won't guarantee you that Sijuan will get married. Wait for you as long as you want, she may not wait for you at all and is too lazy to talk nonsense. You can figure it out yourself. And Wan Fang, you and Yates don't get involved in this. They can handle their feelings by themselves. You're still a bachelor, why are you meddling in other people's affairs? After dinner, Xiaoran told Han Qian that he would not go home for the new year this year and would stay in Binhai to work. Then Han Qian pointed at his head and yelled. Do you work for your sister? You haven't been home in the summer, have you? Your parents are looking forward to the stars and the moon for you to come home to celebrate the new year, but you don't go back because of a broken relationship? Think about your mother cooking New Year's Eve dinner. I don't understand what's going on in the minds of children nowadays. If you stay in Binhai, I'll break your legs. Brother Qian'er, I'm going to sell tickets now. Wanfang, give him some money and fly away. Xiaoran, you are not a child anymore. You have become a father at your age in the countryside. Think more when you do things. Think of your parents first, your lover, and finally yourself. Damn it! If you were my brother, I would have whipped you. Roll, roll, roll. Xiaoran left. The two got into the car. Wanfang started the car and said calmly, "Are you being a little serious when you say that?" Han Qian squinted at Wanfang and said calmly, "Have you ever thought that the two of them are not suitable for each other? Xiaoran will meet many women in the future, can Wu Si Quan keep him? I wish them well together, and there is another saying, long-term pain is worse than short-term pain. You love, you idiot, you know nothing. You understand? You understand? You understand, right? Why don't you drive? I've eaten too much and I'm too lazy to step on the accelerator. Send me to my aunt, and then drive away. Forget it. I'm afraid you'll die for love with me, so you can go and play by yourself. I'll ask Jing to pick me up. The next time I buy a silicone one, it won't be easy to use. Have you used it? Get out." Wanfang drove away quickly, and Han Qian called Jing. "Aunt Ji, come pick me up. I miss you." Not long after, Jing drove over. Han Qian got in the car and hugged Jing, and then said, "Go to your house. Then go to Aunt Qian's house for dinner. Jing's face looks like a peach blossom.